Hello everybody, my name is Devin-Foxy Remastered, and before this video begins, please be sure to give this video a like and comment and subscribe and hit the bell to be notified. Now, what are we going to talk about? Well, for now, I guess like I said that I mentioned last time that after I was returned back in the break, I was going to probably just talk about something. And oh, as in for what I was going to talk about something, is I'm going to be talking about Lego Nexo Nights. That's right, Lego Nexo Nights. Now, let's just talk about the show, and why did I seem to kind of like it. Okay, so, like I said, even if I'll mention the characters anyway, which at this point I probably won't be the only one showing the background of the characters, what they even look like, but yes, they look like knights, and then the other side, there's monsters. So, back to the point where I'm going to talk about here is about why do I like Lego Nexo Knights, and why did I think it was a bit entertaining. Well, first of all, it was entertaining, was that it was pretty good. Like, all four seasons were pretty good. Like, I'll probably go from season 1 to all the way to 4 anyway, so that way I could pretty much, like, refreshing most of the anybody else's memory if anybody has not know what Lego Next Nights even are exactly, which has been a little bit of a long time to kind of be, like, talking about it. So, what I'm going to say here is that there is, like, there's pretty much like 5 Lego Nexo Knights. Like there's 5 Nexo Knights. That's pretty much in the color of the knights, what they even look like. Well, so far, there's pretty much like, yeah, even though it's going to take some time to refresh a little bit of the memory of it, I'll still try to count with my fingers. So, what do the Lego Nexo Knights look like? Well, there's only like 4 people exactly. There's only like 4 knights and then 1 knight girl exactly. So there's only like 4 men and then there's 1 lady exactly who are the Lego Nexo Knights. And then of course like the 2 technical engineers is pretty much like Ava and Robin, which they're pretty much like engineered technical engineers to pretty much run like the vortex of however to like operate the thing. So here's what I'm going to talk about. So in the most likely from the beginning, I gotta say, when I was watching Cartoon Network, that even if it wasn't there anymore, which I would have wished it was there, but unfortunately it was just kind of it's at its last finish before like season 4 could have actually ended, which it already did ended, which I gotta say it's been a long time. It's forever since the Lego Nexo Nights. And I'm like, what are they gonna make? Like a second one like called Lego Nexo Nights 2, which I'd be glad to be obvious if they ever did make a another something, then that would have been kind of likely pretty good. That would have been like pretty good if they actually made like a sequel. Like if they would have made like a second sequel, I would have been like, that would have been pretty cool. But unfortunately, guess time will tell since there's a lot of mystery to be unfolded for a lot of different things to be unfolded. So, who's my favorite one of the Lego Nexo Knights? Is it like the good guys or the bad guys? Well, to be frankly honest, I always have to say what kind of my favorite is. I think I have to say my favorite is Jestro. Now, why do I say Jestro? The reason why I like Jestro is because I like the guy who is pretty talented and a bit evil after when he actually was siding with the Book of Monsters for like a bit of like a long time. Like literally a long time. Which, to be frankly honest, it wasn't kind of like the beginning part. It was only at the center, at the middle part, where it was at. So, where was it all from the middle part? Well, just before that, Jestro went to the library that had to go and see something that was telling him in his head by saying, "Is like, Psst, I'm in Murloc's library." Like, after what I discovered to say, I was like, Damn, okay, this is something I really would have been thought about that. Which, to be honest, I'm like, wow, that's pretty common. Like, that's a little common, but all I gotta say is just that, yeah, I'm always liking Jestro. Like, even if he's good or evil, then I probably would have said that otherwise. I think he was pretty base and some other technical ones, which was pretty good. So, yeah, I mean, there's probably lots of things to unfold here. Which I know, like I said, I have to go from all the way from 1 to 4, which I understand that. So, in this part, I'll probably explain about like pretty much likely Murloc. Well, Murloc is a wizard, which he clearly is a wizard. He's only likely to be a wizard to pretty much likely defeat the monsters that is from the book of monsters that summons the monsters out of that book. He'll pretty much go start rampaging on the town for how that reason that is. So Murloc is a wizard. He pretty much likely knows how to use a staff and knows how to beat monsters. And as in for the next question is that you gotta say that whenever like the book of monsters known as pretty much like Monstrux, well, gotta say, that's a pretty interesting name coming from a book. Like that's a very interesting name coming from a book. Which I mean, do I kinda side with a few others? Well, maybe. I mean, just maybe for that answer. So yes, I gotta say I like Jestro. Even if he was somewhat of a fraidy cat or not, then I still say that I've always liked that character. Which I don't intend to make fun of the character. I only just like how the guy just does what he does with the power of what he does. For however, the side with Monstrux. So that's just all I can say about it. And oh yeah, a lot of monster characters were pretty good. Like they were all pretty good, except the fact that all of them were pretty good as lava monsters. And I'm like, that's new. Like that's actually new, which I would be knowing about. Like, that's pretty new to me. So, that's just what lava monsters look like. Like, they pretty much look a bit small, and then a few ones were pretty big, and the ones are at medium. I'm like, that's actually pretty good. I like that idea how, like, I like the fact how Cartoon Network actually just makes a very good, valid stuff, what they even look like as monsters in the book of pretty much like the book of monsters, which that's what I probably would be saying. So at that point, I just like the idea how that was actually up there and just like the idea how it was, you know? I just like how the idea was. And apparently that there were like a few different things that were going on with like pretty much the Book of Monsters trying to be like, oh, he's just wanted to be out of the way from pretty much like saying is like, what are you doing, joke boy? Like, he's literally just calling Jestro, my favorite main guy, just like calling him a joke, and I'm like, bruh, you serious? Like, at least he's trying to be your teacher. At least he's trying to actually be talented as yours. Like, he's at least using the book of spells as he can. Like, that's just what Jestro's doing. Like, if you let him do something, then you obviously gotta let him do something. I mean, I probably wouldn't blame the Book of Monsters, but I'm probably near the side of theirs anyways. Like, I probably would be at the center of their argument. Like, from Jestro and pretty much Monstrux. Now, let's just go over the knights, which we already did discuss about the lava monsters and pretty much the antagonist or the main evil antagonist. That's pretty much Monstrux and Jestro, which both of them remain to be as those. But now, let me just get to the straight point here about like the knights. Okay, so the blue knight is Clay Morrington, which I gotta say, Clay Morrington, well, he's just likely he's always been likely a bit of a blue knight, which I have to say that he was always like a blue knight. And why was he a blue knight? Well, he's pretty much likely the leader of the group and also actually knows how to train the knights and just tries to defeat every single monster that comes from Jestro and also slash the book of monsters known as Monstrux. And that's just what Clay Morton does. He pretty much follows the Knight's code and follows more likely the good guy code and knows how to be a hero and tries to win it all. And that's just how what Clay Morton does. Which, even though that my guy Jestro has to deal with him already, however, for that reason. So, that's just what I would say. Now, the Red Knight is Macy. Well, as in from Macy, known as the Red Knight. Okay, so as in for the Red Knight, Macy, well, she's kind of likely like kind of like the knights, like the dudes. I think of the knights. I think that she kind of actually is sticking side with them. Like even their king or queen actually want her to be their princess, and just like do what they always do in the olden Knighton days, like they pretty much always would do. Like princesses would do what they always do, and then Princess Warrior knights will go out and battle anyways, just for that reason. So, like I said, I'm just not always a guy who would be like, well, not very sure. And I mean, I could be very close with being unsure, which I probably wouldn't care or probably wouldn't know, but that's just what I would probably be pointing out. Now, the next knight is the White Knight, is Lance. Well, Lance Richmond is more likely a guy who's pretty much rich and successful with his parents, which I probably am memorizing a few other characters' backgrounds and their athletics or whatever they even are, which at this point. So I think that's what Lance Richmond is like more like he's a Richmond of pretty much being like rich. See, it's like the last name sticks together by saying is whoever's rich is a Richmond, and that is exactly what that name even is. Which I probably would be damned myself. I probably would be damned for that one. I'd probably be damned. Which it's true. It is just what the name is. Because if he's rich, then he's a rich person. He's rich. So that's just what Lance Richmond is. But he's just the one who has money with his parents. And obviously Lance just got himself a pig, which it's pretty odd, but I won't be assuming to be judging for that answer. So that's just probably the story about Lance Richmond in this point, so there you go. The next person I'm going to be talking about is Axel. Now, a guy who pretty much likely is a guy who's hungry for food. Yeah, he's kind of like a big knight, like he's a yellow knight, I think, to be knowing that, yes, he's more likely a yellow knight. Which I gotta say about Axel is that, yeah, he kind of lives with a family, exactly, and tries to know how to do proper manners, that pretty much with his parents, which clearly only has a mom, and then a few other siblings. That's Axel even does even relate to even have exactly. And I mean, to be honest, I've always kind of recently watched the Lego Nexo Nights already before I was like rewatching their season 1 all the way to 4. And it's pretty good. Like, all the stories are pretty good. Like, they're all common, but except the facts I probably wouldn't like as much as with, like, oh, how Jestro is the one who probably gets, like, tormented for some reason that just gets despite for different times, which I probably would say is just pretty ouch at the moment. So, I mean, I probably would say on a few couple of nights it would have been interesting that some of them got their own at their own worst, and then some of those get back up at their own best. So that's just probably what's been going on. So that's recently what I'm just talking about. Now, let's talk about the Green Knight. That is Aaron. Okay, so Aaron is like a cool guy who probably wears headphones on his ears, and he probably wears a communicator around his head. That he's a Green Knight, and he's just the one who flies in the sky with a shield hoverboard. I'm like, wait, can you really even do that up in the sky? Which that's creative. No, really, it is actually almost creative. Like, I really don't know how that's creative, but I just was assuming if it was. Which it really is. So, that's just what Aaron does. That he pretty much goes in the sky and, oh, as in for what their weapons look like and their weapons are as knights, is that pretty much as in for Clay Morton, he probably uses a sword and a shield. That he probably uses like a Nexo shield and probably uses like a Nexo power and just eliminates every monster that's either pretty much the lava monsters to get rid of, which lava monsters are so easily to get poofed, which I'm like, in one single swing. I'm like, what? How can he do that in one single swing? And then just sends them flying back into that book. Like, the lava monsters are so easy to be intimidated, to be actually permanently just like be sent to the book of monsters, and then they just don't come right back out of that book until they even respawn. And I'm like, yeah, that's just a shame that I probably would say at the least, but at least the names of the characters are pretty good. so far about like what the names are even are exactly. About like, oh, there was like a few like two lava ladies that were pretty much likely the one that was supposed to be the fear of like the whips exactly with a snake. That's probably like a snake lady with whips, and then probably somebody else who probably knows how to do anything. Like it was like a common thief that the other lady even is. Not the snake lady, but just a different lava lady instead. But all I'm gonna say, and most of the monsters of pretty much likely the Book of Monsters is pretty creative. Like, all they have to do is get the books of spells. Like, man, I just love the fact back in every season, it's just like all the way to season one, all the way throughout from pretty much until pretty much like Monstrux was already defeated as a book and probably was killed as a book and probably got sent to be respawned in something else. So, let's just get straight to the point of like the next one is that about with like Macy. Well, as in for what Macy has of her weapon, she probably uses a weapon that she barely even has that I don't even know what it is. It's just kind of like a rectangle or something like a rectangle, and then probably has it on like something use it as a weapon and probably use it like a Nexo shield of a Nexo Knight. And then there's pretty much Lance. Like he's probably using like a long stick sword out there. Like he probably has like a long stick sword and probably does the same thing as every Nexo Knight to poof out every lava monster and gets sent back to that book. And as in from Axel, he probably uses an axe. Like, it's just literally his name is called Axel, and then he has an axe. Like, what are the odds? Like, two similar odds are actually matched, and then a little bit something different as matched. So, that's just how that works. So, that's Axel exactly for his weapon. And as in from Aaron, that he did recently just talked about, that he goes in the sky, he uses a bow and arrow and probably shoots that. He's like an archer and probably just eliminates every monster, the lava monster that he tries to aim out of the ground and just goes from the sky above and just gets them. And probably it tends to have no fear at all, but the only knights who ever has fear is literally four, except pretty much the guy who's an archer that doesn't literally have any fear at all, which that's pretty common. Which it's pretty common, but I'm like, that's just so bizarre. Like, how can an archer actually not have any sense of fear? Like, that's nuts. Like I remember that forest one exactly of that show, of that episode was like, wait, since when did he not even have any fear? Like, that's a very interesting question, to not even know how that's even an interesting question. So, that's just probably how I'm going to say this anyway about Aaron. Now, the next point I'm going to talk about, whoever is I'm going to exactly just say is about like, oh, we're just going to jump back to Jestro and just get to the point of it. So, okay, so what does Jester look like as a good guy? Well, he kind of actually looks like a regular Jester, but just has like a different set of clothes that actually just like transforms the Jester. That's pretty much like with a Jester. So I think all I could say exactly about how Jestro is a very great character and all, which even though that it might be a bit somewhat useful or a little bit whatever. But I just don't blame Jestro because I just kind of like the fact that he did got a little bit of leadership, a little bit from the Book of Monsters to keep teaching him how to learn how to use monsters out of the book and summon those and pretty much heroically traffic in town, exactly from different parts of the land. That is pretty much related to the Nexo Knights of their own land. That's probably what I'm talking about. And as in for another point, in fact, exactly is with that is with that is Murloc, which I'll probably talk about Murloc anyway. So Murloc. All right, so Murloc is a wizard who pretty much likely is a wizard that he used to be a wizard, but until there's like a big explosion that probably like I don't know, just probably kind of like ended it all, I guess. He just probably ended it all with one big giant blast after he just did like two times of it before the big bam was coming in three. or maybe at 4. That was pretty much somewhere after when he was using that wand of like a wizard's staff. Like Murloc, on the other hand, probably did self-destruct himself and probably died afterwards, and then probably got respawned to a hologram. But he pretty much was like into a hologram that actually was no longer human, which he does remain to still be human, I think. This is only that he transforms into like, where he's always like the driver's seat, that he just drives the vortex, that he just drives. Like every single time in every single one of the episodes that you guys might be seeing, that if you guys do or don't know, that you can find the episode itself, like Lego Nexo Nights, you can literally go ahead and check that out. If you probably would or don't have to find it, then just keep finding what the name is, and then you'll know where it is. So, that's just my sense of the topic of me talking about like Lego Nexo Nights, but there's probably like lots and lots of characters to go on out for. Which, I mean, there's a lot, so it's just going to probably take its time of its use. Now, what I'm going to be talking about next is about the king and queen. So, yes, it probably is Macy's parents after all. That probably is related, so yes. I think to say that the king was kind of an okay king after when he probably was making a few amount of different demands before he started getting used to different things. After when he did got into pretty much how Robin was the one doing the operation of like being a engineer, technical engineer, of like fixing like pretty much robotics or something that is like robotics, that is like robots, for however like a big machinery to get rid of monsters pretty differently and effectively quick to kind of get rid of those fast. But as in for that, it is pretty interesting where that goes. And as in for the queen, well, she kind of technically was wearing a golden armor, that she probably was wearing golden armor and had a weapon anyways while being like a queen knight, which that's interesting. Like a queen knight. Huh. Queen knight. I mean, what do you know? A queen knight that is actually a queen. Once you put a queen together and then a knight in together, it smashes into one thing. Or just smashes in two things. Who knows? But yeah, that's just probably my sense of the point, is just that's just what it looks like. So that's just what I would think about it. And as in for the next point encounter is that, well, here's what I could say for the next point encounter. Is that the only thing I could say for the next counter will be is like, hmm, oh yeah, remains continuing of Jestro. So as in for what Jestro looks like in evil, well, he probably looks pretty evil, except that the fact that he was wearing like something pretty evil that had amount of color that was just in the front. That I'm talking about like the beginning seasons. Not where it's at the center or end seasons from like 3 or 4. That's probably like a different topic. But 1 and 2, I kind of like that Jestro. I mean, not gonna lie, I kind of like that Jestro, that color in the beginning ones, but you might be seeing in the end ones where it's all pretty much likely stone. Which we might probably talk about the stone ones if I ever do get to the chance of it now, so let's just resume back. Now, the only thing that we were zooming back afterwards was that there was like a big fortress that was pretty much like a lava fortress that was like, yeah, it was like a big lava fortress that was pretty big of a castle. And I'm like, wow, that is pretty evil, and that is pretty sick, in my opinion. That is like pretty sick. Like, I like the fact how it was all designed, however the lava monsters were pretty much fixing everything else in that castle and just made it very improved. Like, really improved what it looked like. And that's just what happened. And after when all the books were collected, oh yeah, pretty much likely that the real name was revealed by Monstrux, that was known to be the Book of Monsters. That, oh yeah, it was probably the real name before he became even a wizard, which he did become one of the wizards of the counselor. That was pretty much likely from Murloc's backstory that started to begin all of it. But there's pretty much a lot of mysteries that's been going on recently that has pretty much like we've never been to seen again. So I'm probably just going to give like as that as a recount. So just as in for the fact about Monstrux is that, oh yeah, he's pretty much evil, and he probably was a wizard once and before that he probably was trying to defeat his arch nemesis of his own rival, that is Murloc, the wizard, and tries to get rid of him and tries to like take over the world of like Lego Nexo Knights and pretty much likely whatever it's left of the land that's controlled by the monsters. So that's just how that story ends up there and just where it even goes. And then, oh yes, as in for the different forms of Monstrux, that, well, he's going to be called another one soon anyway after I mention 3 or 4, but I'll probably jump to those as I can. So here's what I'm going to say about the next fact about like 3 and 4, which I did talk about like 1 and 2. Like there's like a few different betrayals that was going on between like Jestro and Monstrux, that Jester was almost a bit of a good guy, and almost before they even killed the book, which I think Jestro was kind of actually okay in both. That I actually have no argument against Jestro, even though that he did try to take good leadership, and most likely the most leadership as he can. And then pretty much the fact I like the way how Jestro became to be like a news reporter. I'm like, that's actually pretty cool, like a weather reporter. And I'm like, dang, that's nice. Like talking about the weather, for example. Like that's pretty something there. That's pretty something that he gets to be that one. Very interesting. Now, the next thing is that whenever something really happened, that he became something more evil still, that he became to be like a different set of evil after when Monstrux becomes a cloud of monsters instead. That is in the Book of Monsters anymore. Well, he probably tries to get back in his own body if he ever tries. But as in for that, there's just been like different transformations of what's been going on with Monstrux and tries to do whatever he's trying to do to take over the world and does most of evil things as he tries to do and tries to destroy in his way. That he tries to do is to get to the pretty much likely the king's capital, or more likely that what's even left of like, that's pretty much around the land that where the king even owns, I think. So that's probably what the fact even is. And as in for another point of figures of whatever has been going on is that Jestro, whenever he's been zapped by lightning by Monstrux, he pretty much becomes very evil. That he's become like the most likely the 4th level to be the evil of evil. That I'm like, that's pretty based. Like after when he still continues to be at 1 or 2, he kind of needs to be a villain at somewhere of like season 1 and 2 that you might see different dialogues. But if I'm already incorrected or not, that's just pretty much when you have to know by looking at its own episodes first. That's how you get to see dynamics, or where that even explains. So, there you go. And just as for the fact that, yes, Jestro did kind of look pretty lightning, and with a lightning figure around his face and the body itself, whenever he's like, oh, he's like all lightning, that he's always around it, exactly. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. Like, who knew you have to put like around like little lightning as a villain? That is pretty common. And afterwards, that there was pretty much like some stone monsters we'll talk about any second. But as in for like the lava monsters, they kind of left and they went to find their inner peace. And I'm like, wait, aren't you supposed to be the villains that you're supposed to probably do to go after the Lego Nexo Knights? And I'm like, yeah, I kind of almost agree with like, pretty much likely Monstrux. That even though I might agree with Monstrux or disagree of him, I think the only fact I would say is that, yeah, I probably would simply agree at most parts what he does, but a few monsters I might have to agree at some point that I will have to at least not make too many rivalries as it goes, whatever it is. But I like the fact when Jestro was like saying, is like, what's going on over there? And then he kind of fell down. That Monstrux kind of fell down in his own moment after when his own lava monsters betrayed him and just went back to the stone monsters instead. Like that's pretty much like rock monsters anyway. So to the point now that the rock monsters were pretty impressive. Like they were pretty stoned. Like I never knew that they were pretty stoned, but yes, they can be heavy, but they're pretty stoned instead. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. And after the fact that there were a lot of different reveals that was going on, that there was like, oh, the Knights Academy, and then there was like the library and other stuff, and probably like other stuff like in other episodes I have not recently mentioned yet, which I already did back in a few different seasons I meant, or talk about like different ones. So, just as in for that fact that, well, we're just probably going to talk about what's going to be next or whatever is going to be. And now, the only thing we're going to say that's next is pretty much about the stone monsters. So the stone monsters are not easy to be killed, which it's pretty interesting that they just don't even die this time. Like Monstrux upgrades them to not even get killed this time, but they get to be stone instead. But the knights still kept figuring out like it's a no stop problem, and they just keep like get rid of every single one, like, just like use like a Nexo scan and probably like just do all of that and absolutely just send all of them right back to the cloud. Or maybe just back in the book, which I might be assuming not to know, but it probably went back to the book. That's what I would think about that. So it probably just went all the way to that pretty much of the monster of the cloud and just send every single monster up there that is the stone monsters to be sent up there. So that's just my physics of the point of me explaining what's been going on with that, and just says like, what do you know? That's pretty cool. And just pretty much, that's just all I want to talk about. And oh yeah, as in for the next ultimate secret weapon of their goal, which was Monstrux, was that he was trying to like summon a very big monster. That he would pretty much enter in that monster and he would become that monster and will probably use all the element spells that he will probably be using. And that would be pretty much destroying most of the kingdom of like, pretty much most likely a bit of the kingdom, that as I would be saying. So that's just what I want to talk about, and just say is that, well, in the ending part with Monstrux being killed by Clay Warrington, that he just killed him, or probably like somebody did that probably instantly got him. So yeah, he was probably killed, and then Monstrux still kind of appears to be like a vision of a mirror until some stone lady that returns to be the veil of Clay's mother. That, yeah, there's probably a lot of different theories that's been going on recently that I could probably say that, even though that's probably much likely a topic that I would totally want to be talking about, and just say is like, oh, is there going to be a sequel? Well, to be frankly, it's been a while and a while, so it's probably what Cartoon Network's decision's going to be, and just say is like, are they going to probably do a sequel, or they're just going to probably let where the things are going to keep continuing to move around, except they're not going to do a sequel. Which, I mean, if they did a sequel, I'd be totally watching that. I totally would want to watch that if they have my buddy Jestro, which they probably will still have him anyway, even of course that he's probably chained up with like an artist that is probably like someone that was helping him create the stone of the monsters, that was also supposed to be the only ones that was likely to help him of achieving an evil. So anyway, that's just the point where I want to be saying is that, well, I'm gonna say when Clay started to be in stone, that he became a monster too, that he became an evil gray knight. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. That's very cool. Like, for once, I never even seen a gray knight. That even though it was Clay Morrington, that still used to be a blue knight. But whenever he went to stone by pretty much Monstrux, zapped him with the lightning, he just became stone permanently. After, when like a few other episodes passed, he went full stone. Like his whole night body went to stone and became evil itself. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. Like, I never seen a very much likely the main character that gets to be tossed in to know what a villain looks like. And I'm like, based. Okay, brother. Based. That is very base. That is very common, brother. Like, that is very common. And that's pretty cool at the same time, if you ask me. That is, like, pretty cool at the same time. Which, even though it wasn't, then I don't know. So, what I've been thinking about here was that after when he became pretty much back to being human. Like there was some kind of like blue obsessing with him. I think there was some like blue magic. And also there was like two reveals that was happening. Was that again Clay had a mother? I think was probably like a stone lady that was like controlling his mind and probably knowing the effects and the time effect in the events that he kept like she kept controlling him the whole time in different progresses for how that Clay was trying to like figure a way to escape it. But yeah, that's pretty interesting. And then as in for Murloc, well, he gets to probably be the uncle. And I'm like, what? How is he the uncle? And I'm like, dang, that is wow. He's like the uncle of Clay Morndon. That's that's pretty big reveal. That's pretty damning. That's another big reveal, and I'm like, wow. He's like another pretty much likely a big reveal to pretty much be the Claytons. For however, that I don't even know that Clay still even have a dad or whatever, but that's just so obvious that we never get to know about when who was Clay's father. Which to be honest, it was literally zero. Like permanently kind of zero. Zero answers, like literally zero. And then I think the pretty much likely the uncle, yeah, the uncle is pretty much likely Murloc. That probably actually considered to probably have that as a secret around like season 4, I think, after when that was a reveal or somehow, which it was pretty interesting. And I'm like, yeah, that is pretty interesting to me. That is like pretty interesting to me that I just never knew about. So there you go. That's just why I want to be going on with that and just says like, yeah, it's probably time for me to talk about like Lego Nexo Nights and just kind of talk about it and see where this goes. So that's just all I want to talk about, and that's just all the point I probably will be saying from here and there. And oh yes, as in for like the fact who was probably the leader of the Lego Nexo Knights was Aaron, the guy who uses like a shield hoverboard. That oh yeah, he's probably like the only leader that he's probably gonna be. So yeah, the archer gets to be the leader. That probably relates to probably be either Macy or probably Aaron. That two characters are almost a little close who could probably be taking similar charge of being leader. Like, I mean, Lance or Axel probably couldn't do it because, I mean, they probably are the only ones liking food. And then for Lance Richmond, he's only liking about gold and money. And he's always would rather want to be. And he just didn't want to be a knight. He was more wanting to be a celebrity. Like, that's fine, whatever he wants to do, but I'm just going to be the only one figuring that out anyway and just says, like, you know what? That's fine. Let him be a knight. Or maybe don't let him be a knight anyway. Just let him be rich as what he ever wants to be with his family, being rich. And that's just how the story actually finishes. Now, let's just get to the point with, like, the artist. Well, the artist kind of sounds like an Italian. That whenever I start watching the episode, actually by every episode from 304, like I'm talking about season number kind, that he literally sounds so much of Italian. Like he literally sounds Italian to me like he's the only one sounding for meatballs. They say it's like, oh, but Italian, it doesn't know where some geniuses work. Like I can't even probably would be voicing the character because I probably don't know what it even sounds like anyway. But Jestro, I would probably at least like sounding like I would probably at least like at least liking his voice for that. But as in for other characters, I probably wouldn't voice those anyway because it would be too hard to memorize of what they even sound like, which it takes a long time of voicing and just do whatever. So there you go. And as in for that point, that's just how I would probably explain the dynamic and just say as what I just want to say. And that's just all the point on the fact I would say that at least. So, that's just what I could want to be saying right now. Anyway, so about the ending, what's even been going on with the ending is afterwards when Jestro went back to being good, and then Monstrux probably kinda was killed. as like a big monster that was actually killed as stone. Like the whole monster went to stone and it started falling off pieces by pieces and probably got killed in the end. Which I mean, he still didn't get killed after when that lady of that pretty much likely Clay's mother, Stone Lady, for however that was the stone monster, took pretty much Monstrux and he was remained to still be alive as that mirror of reflection, then probably poofed out away without any trace. Like, again, Murloc pretty much likely was wanting to figure out how to, like, tell Clay how we're going to deal with the idea. Like, Clay was just trying to tell him what was even going to happen or whatever, but there's just too many things that remains to be a mystery. So, a mystery will be a mystery. Who knows? Like, even if it will be, like, I don't know, 2027, 2028. Like, we could be literally waiting for, like, a sequel by now. If Cartoon Network kind of does or doesn't want to release it, then I'll probably be fine with their own behalf of their decision. Like, I mean, hey, it's Cartoon Network for a reason. They probably just do whatever, like, yada, yada, yada. Like, they just do whatever they are doing for that reason. So, if they ever do likely release, like, a second part of like Lego Nexo Nights 2, hell yes. I'd be riding that all the way on the train. I'd probably say as train, train, or choo choo. Exactly, that's probably what I would say. But yes, that's probably what I'd be going for that train. And just says, let's freaking go. I want to see how good it gets. Which, you know, even if the reveals remain to stay hidden or whatever, but yeah. I think pretty much more seasons could have been more provided after when the depths of season 5 could have been there, but nope. It had to end in season 4 without a trace. Which, even though that the good guys still only one was like the Knights that did, but yeah, I was kind of disappointed that I was rooting for like Monstrux to take over the castle of the capitals, kings exactly of the capitals of the king and queen of their land, but it just kind of went down as it's always been. Like knights probably won as already as knights, and monsters lost monsters. Like lava monsters lost, and then of course stone monsters, which even though lava monsters are already kind of likely to side with the knights and join them on their behalf, which even though that they remain to still be in their own kind of peace now from the lava monsters, which we probably may never see again, which we could probably rewatch it as we want to rewatch it, but still, I'm just like, yeah, it's just probably a good run. That's just where the lava monsters are going to remain to be now. Is they're just going to have their own inner peace without like having like real monsters coming out there and attack. So that's just probably what I'm going to be saying now. And without that being said, folks, as I am Golden Devin-Foxy Mastered, and what do I kind of give this Lego Nexo Nights show about? I kind of give this 10 out of 10 just because I like all of the effects. Like, all the effects were good. Like, every single one of those were amazing. Like, they were pretty good, but except the fact that I'll kind of lean it down to a 6, which a few other ones weren't pretty good after when Jestro was getting a few different abuses, but Monstrux, which he should have not continued to get abused for different things, just because he didn't really knew what was going to happen or whatever. But you know me, sometimes it's just going to probably where the effects are going to go. But for now, that's just all I can point out. So with that being said here, I'm Golden Devin-Foxy Mastered, and without that being said, is that who really knows what happens with Clay's mother, exactly that remains to be evil, that's going to be highly taking Monstrux, or pretty much likely into a different way of disappearing into irrelevancy, I think. Just like poof out of nowhere. Like, yes, again, Monstrux still means to be alive, and so does the stone mother of Clay's mother, that they pretty much both disappeared. Until then, yeah, my guy Jestro had to argue against that guy. That was pretty much likely just the colored monsters a few different rampant different times, and then maybe just a few different times on the guy who was like creating stones. That was like the artist guy who was pretty much likely went to be a famous artist, but so far he became evil as well, and also joined with the run of the lava monster of the stone monsters, which I meant stone monsters, not lava monsters. So that's probably when my guy Jestro had to start arguing with him anyway, and just like just do the talk and the talk and talk and talk. So that's what's been going on. And what do I think of it? Oh, yeah, it was pretty good. And I like the way how Jestro continues to probably do more improvements of being an evil leader, what it's like to be evil, along with Monstrux. Which, I gotta be honest, it's pretty good. Like, it's pretty good. Like, I kind of knew how awesome it remains to be, and it's actually pretty common that I actually figured how and why now. That I say how great the seasons were on the run of like season 1 all the way to the end of season 4. I mean, that's just like a bravo, well of a good job done from pretty much however the season turned out to do of Lego Nexo Knights. We're pretty good. Very talented, very good with like the styles, the way how they continue what they do, and just continue to do what they always do in every storyline. It's pretty good. Like, it's very amazing. So there you go. That's just what I want to be saying for now. Is thank you very much for watching this. And without it to be said again, is that I did want to come on and talk to this topic and mention about Lego Nexo Knights and just says like, oh, why was Lego Nexo Knights my favorite TV show to watch? Which is kind of slash Cartoon Network related. Which I mean, even if some related when it comes to buy either Nickelodeon or something, I'm not really familiar to say. But yes, whether some seasons are long or not long, then yeah. Like I said, I don't probably mention long stuff anyway. Like with however about talking about like their season stuff. That's just what I'm talking about. But when it's like shorter stuff, they're pretty easy to actually do and get those out of the way. Like that's just like an easy way to tackle. That's just kind of like the better, easiest tackling thing to do. I mean, for SpongeBob, for example, like he's still getting giant ones before like literally season 20. I'm like, holy crap! Like he's about to even reach a season 20. Like I'm talking about like the SpongeBob example. Like SpongeBob literally has like freaking 18 seasons before he's actually almost 20. Like I mean, even might get to season 19 or 20 and something, but it's just how it probably moves up somewhere. So, and if any everybody does tell me about scenes like, oh, you're going to talk about SpongeBob? Well, the answer is I'm not going to talk about SpongeBob, actually. I'm just really not going to talk about SpongeBob because I don't hate this show or anything. I just only like how awesome it is because I still like my boy Patrick Star, like I've always liked my boy Patrick. Like, just remember, even if a season's a long, long, long one up there, I can't be like tackling the hard ones. I gotta be tackling easy, easy, easy ones. That's it. Just what my topic is. And like I still said, I've always liked the Patrick Show. I've always still said that already. Which, even though I had said this already before, that it's pretty good. Like, even though, like I said again, that hopefully that the Patrick Show either gets like a season 10 or probably reaches even a different stone or something or whatever. But I mean, at least they probably got like 4 free seasons. I think they probably still need to go, which that's pretty cool. Which I'll still keep watching it every single time on Nickelodeon on TV, like every time, like always. Like if I ever find something entertaining, that's what I always would like to still watch, is find something very entertaining and very useful just to enjoy what I like to enjoy anyways. So, for now, all I'm going to say, guys, is thank you very much for watching. Please be sure to give this video a like and comment and subscribe and hit the bell to be notified so that you do not miss a single video that comes on this channel. And even though I was a little bit off topic before, I even want to probably get off for now, but just really wanted to like bring out a little bit reviving or something, just a little revive, not that big revive or anything. That's just it. So that being said, guys, yeah, my favorite character from Lego Nexo Knights is Jestro. Oh yeah, absolutely Jestro. And my main secondary, well, I don't have a secondary to be in particular. I don't have that kind of secondary anyway because at this point it's just gonna probably be a main anyways because I probably wouldn't know exactly what I would like anyways of what my main secondary is, but it's gonna be a little bit hard to move the spot to. But, I'm always just going to stay on Jestro because I've always liked Jestro anyway. Like, good or evil, I will still kind of like the character anyways, even if he's on different sides anyway to begin with. So, with that being said, is that I am Golden Devin-Foxy Remastered. I'm pretty much going to get going, and I hope that you guys enjoy the rest of your day. And hope to say this, guys, that I hope that you guys enjoy watching the show of Lego Nexo Nights. Like, let me know in the comments what you guys think of the show, and just say it's like, oh, why do you like the show? Well, I've already explained a bit of my answer and just said what I had to say there. So, yeah. I mean, if there were like a few ups or a few downs on the show, I probably will still say that it went okay, as I think. I mean, it wasn't all bad or anything, or too garbage or anything. Like, I didn't think it was too garbage. Like, even if it was too garbage, that's when I would probably put a thumb down in it. But the rest of everything else went well. I still give it a thumbs up. Like, automatically a thumbs up. Like, it was a big thumbs up that I even approved it. That I even liked pretty much Lego Nexo Nights. And even hell, I even like Jestro. That I've always will say for days and days. That I've always liked that character. And just see where it even goes. So, with that being said, and oh, as in for the next part before we even end this here, is about how I'm going to explain about the Shining One. Well, the Shining One is going to take some time for me to get that video around, sooner or later. But like I said, I'm just going to keep things a little bit slow for the rest of the time and for the rest of the day, and see what you guys still like to still remain to keep enjoying this. And yeah, that's just probably what I would be saying from this story. So if you guys enjoy this, just remember these things is like and comment and subscribe and the bell be notified so that you do not miss a single video that comes on this channel, and that will be awesome. So thank you for watching. Thank you for enjoying this. And this probably was like a bit kind of big long video. I think it was a bit of a big long video I had to do and just explain how the seasons were going and see how they were working or whatever. But yes, Lego Nexo Nights, a huge 10 out of 10, which the show I liked was awesome. It was awesome. I liked it. It was awesome. It was pretty good. It was okay by me. So there you go. And yeah, and also don't forget everybody that I mentioned in the last video of the break that, oh yes, I did save up the only reaction video I have left that I have to deal with before we even jump for like the gameplay, which I won't mention anyways again, for like the only time I will ever say it. But for now, I'm probably am damn excited for like, oh, I'm just gonna take on some zombies and just have like four survivalists that will survive against the whole entire zombie invasion. That will probably be interesting. That I'll probably just go at it and just see how I would like the game as itself. Like, even though the game would mean to have violence and whatever, like mature audiences were made to be mature audiences. So yeah, that's just what it's gonna be. And as in for that example, is that how am I gonna like the game? Well, I'm only gonna like the game to see how it actually goes. With like, however, it went pretty exciting, so I probably will still give it a test and a go. And yes, I did watch a few theories about like, oh, the Left 4 Dead 2 theories about like the green flu, the red flu, and then other stuff like different other effects. Like I'm talking about like the viruses that I'm talking about. Like, I'm pretty excited to see where that goes, and I'm like, yeah, that is pretty good in my opinion. Like, I just really don't know how that's gonna remain to be, but hey, I mean, at least I'm gonna probably enjoy this anyway, and just kind of at least enjoy it. And I probably will still like watch some theories of like however all this started from the very beginning all the way from the end. So there you go. Now then, that being said, I'm probably am just going to get going from real right now and just will get going right now. So thank you very much for watching. And this is Golden Devin-Foxy Remastered. I'm probably am going to get going and will say is hope you guys enjoy the reaction video and will highly again to enjoy the gameplay. Which the gameplay I'm really am excited to play. Which I'll probably go at it alone and always survive it because hey, I mean I survive however I like to survive. Like I've always liked it. Always do. So, that being said, hope you guys enjoy this. And that being said, peace on out. Have a great day. Have a great time. And I'll pretty much see you guys sooner or later in the next time. So, anyway, Golden Devin-Foxy Remastered is signing out and sign off. And bye-bye. Later, everyone. And have a great day. Peace on out. Later, everyone. Bye bye.